Marae in South Auckland is taking a frontline approach to tackling family violence by protecting its social workers as they go about their work in the community. Papakura Marae has enlisted the support of scientist Sir Ray Avery from the charity Help at Hand to trial and support the prevention program. New Zealand pharmaceutical scientist, inventor and author Sir Ray Avery from the Help at Hand Trust is with us now. Kia ora, Sir Ray. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, good morning.
How does this program work, and give us an idea of what's involved?
Well, we developed some technology about 6 or 7 years ago, which was really in the healthcare space to look after patients in rest homes who needed support, and if they got sick, they could push a button and communicate with somebody in a timely manner, or if they fell over, we'd be able to look after them. And then we found there was a real niche market for looking after people suffering from domestic violence. So basically what we invented was a wearable device, which is, we don't want to sort of advertise what it is, particularly for obvious reasons, but it's a discrete device that you can wear that can't be stripped off you. And basically it can track your well-being and safety anywhere that you are. And so if you're a domestic violence victim and, for instance, you're getting to a point where violence is starting to emerge, you can push the button on this device and it silently sends a message to a call centre, which in turn can send it to the police and open a three-way conversation between the person at risk and the police and the call centre. And it saves lives. We've been rolling it out in Australia. We have thousands of people in Australia who are benefiting this. And in the last 6 months alone, we've actually stopped about 8 women from being murdered at the point of that assault, because the police have been able to get there in a timely way and protect them. And so we've been trying to roll that out in New Zealand, but the government in Australia has funded this scheme totally, but we've had no luck funding it in New Zealand. So we decided to work with community groups to see if we could do a ground-up approach. And we're very fortunate through the police at the Papakura police station, a guy called Tony, ironically connected with a guy called Tony at the Marae. And his guys are just fabulous. And they came up with a new kind of strategy, and they said, look, Ray, what you need to do is you need to train the trainers before you start rolling it out to the domestic violence victims. And he said, a problem we have is that they've got around 80 frontline workers working in the domestic violence space. And to give you a perspective of how bad that is in South Auckland and indeed New Zealand,
right.
On the world stage, we're either the first or the second biggest country in the world for domestic violence, depending on whose stats you use. But it's an appalling problem. And every 4 minutes, the police are receiving a call for domestic violence assaults. And it occupies about 40% of the policing time, which is a horrible statistic. So this ground-up approach that Tony's come up with is whereby his workers are trialling the device now as a proven clinical trial that we can then go to ACC and get funding for this on a long-term basis.
Okay.
Currently, domestic violence in New Zealand costs ACC around, we estimate, about $10 billion a year. And
did you say 10 million or 10 billion?
10 billion.
$10 billion a year.
Yeah, and this is because, of course, the issues relating to, and this was done for an ACC report estimated to be about $6.7 billion. This was an official report commissioned by ACC by a reputable agency, and they reckon it was about 6.7. We reckon it's about $10 billion a year.
Wow.
And that's due to the actual physical effects of these people, mental health problems that men emanate from it. And so if we can stop that, it makes good sense to invest in these devices, which we're giving away for free.
And that's a lot of money. Right, it's a lot of money. But we're interested, keen to know how the partnership works between Papakura Marae and Help at Hand Trust. And what's it like being working with the Marae on this trial? Oh,
look, and forgive me, because I work so much in developing countries, everywhere from Afghanistan to Nepal and China and wherever. And what I've learned is I'm hapless at languages. So forgive me, my Maori is not, I'm shit at Maori, but it's not my fault. But I care about people. But what happened when I went to meet Tony at the Marae was I found a brother. And he is inspirational, totally inspirational. People may not know that his people are working on about 48 different programs at the moment, from food banks to healthcare, mental health, people suffering from all sorts of problems. And they're so inspirational that I couldn't help but fall in love with them and try and help them. And so Tony and I are brothers. What people may not know is that my backstory is that I was actually a victim of domestic violence as a kid, and then put into care and abused in care. And so this is very close to my heart, because one social worker changed my life, and I've gone on to help the lives of millions of people around the world. And that's all it takes. So Tony is just an amazing creature of this planet, and he's like a tsunami. So I couldn't resist him. I said, I'll back you, whatever you do. And so we're providing him his watches for free. And we hope that this success story will then be able to roll out through other ground-up organisations. Dealing with the government top down is not working, but maybe we can get a groundswell of people that says, yes, we can actually fix things.
Yeah,
I must say the Maori community is doing much more for these issues than the government is from a top-down approach.
Beautiful. Well, it's so good to see you still involved in doing so much to support our communities. So Ray Avery from the Help at Hand Trust, thank you so much for joining us today. Ngā mihi.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now, if you're concerned about someone who may need help, contact Women's Refuge New Zealand on 0800 REFUGE or 0800 733 843, or the Family Violence Helpline 0800 456 450.